Okay, let's talk foreign policy. So, this area, a lot of people will say, a lot of lefties, not just people, will say that this has been Joe Biden's weakest area, his most vulnerable area, his worst area since entering the White House as the current president of the United States of America. And they have pretty good ground to stand on when making those arguments. So, I want to bring to you here something extremely disheartening. So, it's corruption at its finest, people. Lloyd Austin, Biden's pick for Secretary of Defense. He's currently the Chief of Defense. Remember when everybody was talking about how he, and rightfully so, and they were giving Joe Biden scorn, which was deserved, about how this guy Lloyd Austin, that's the name of the Defense Secretary, was paid by Raytheon. When he exited Raytheon, he pocketed some like around like 1 point something million dollars. He pocketed a lot of money, okay? And he still, to this day, owns stocks over at Raytheon, okay? And this is the guy that is his defense secretary. The guy that owns stocks and gets paid by Raytheon. You can't be like a individual that knows about anything and not think that this isn't a problem, okay? If you don't think this is an issue, you're extremely ignorant, and I mean that from a good place, and you should really go and educate yourself about these things. Because we don't like war, right? War is bad. We can all agree that war is bad. Well, to these weapon manufacturers, war is profitable, and we're going to get into that in a second. In a second, I'm sorry. War is profitable. And so if he's getting paid by Raytheon and he owns stocks over at Raytheon and Joe Biden picks him to be the defense secretary, what do you think he's going to do? Do you think he's going to push Joe to stop the wars? Do you think he's going to use his power to pull troops out? I'll let you answer that question. So we just got news that Joe Biden approved an $85 million Raytheon weapons deal for Chile. This tweet says by Jackson Hinkle, Biden's Secretary of Defense was a Raytheon board member prior to joining the administration and still owns between $500,000 and $1.7 million in Raytheon stocks. This should be illegal. And the tweet kind of blew up a little bit, and rightfully so. And so I have an article from Reuters here that details this, and I'll read this to you very quickly. U.S. State Department approved first potential weapon sale under Biden, says the Pentagon. So the U.S. State Department has approved the first potential sales of weapons under the Biden administration, including communications equipment for NATO and missiles for Chile. In deals with a combined value up to $150 million, the Pentagon said on Friday. The sales are the first foreign military sales to be announced since U.S. President Joe Biden took office. But since sales take months to process, the genesis of the deals likely dates back to the Trump administration. Since taking office, the Biden administration temporarily paused some pending arms sales to U.S. allies like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates in order to review them, despite having been approved by the Trump administration. The Pentagon's Defense Secretary Cooperation Agency notified Congress of the possible sales to Chile and NATO on Friday. The NATO Communications and Information Agency package includes 517 AN/PRC 158 Manpack UHF SATCOM radio systems for field communications with an estimated cost of up to $65 million, including training and spares. Separately, Chile could buy as many as 16 Standard Missile 2 Block 3A missiles, supporting equipment, spares, and training for $85 million, the Pentagon said. SM-2 missiles are considered medium range and are often used by ships against enemy aircraft. Despite approval by the State Department, the notification does not indicate that a contract has been signed or that negotiations have concluded. Raytheon Technologies was the prime contractor for the weapons. Remember what happened last time we did a weapons deal? This was Saudi Arabia. Donald Trump did a weapons deal with Saudi Arabia. This came after the fact that a couple of Saudi Arabia elected leaders, I believe it was, put some money into his hotels, and then he turned around and gave him a weapons deal. That seems fishy. Is that if that isn't a violation of the emoluments clause? I don't know what the fuck it is. But they took that money and started doing a genocide in Yemen, which they are currently still doing. And Joe Biden came out and said, oh, well, him and his administration came out and said, oh, well, we're going to stop aiding the offensive war that Saudi Arabia is, doing in Yemen. And they're our ally, by the way, Saudi Arabia. But comes to find out, that was just a lot of hoopla, a lot of BS to kind of get people to go, yay, and cheer the Democrats. But what really is going on is they say, well, we're going to stop our offensive support. We're only going to help them with defense. So like if they need help with defense, that can be spent so many ways, guys. It's all just talk. So he reneged on his efforts to stop helping Saudi Arabia kill women and children and bombing mosques and churches and whatever else in Yemen and hospitals and things of that nature, siphoning medicine and food, starving people in Yemen. So he reneged on that. And here we go, Lloyd Austin, as the defense secretary, they're seemingly going to approve another weapons deal with a different country. On his way out of the door in his farewell address, Dwight D. Eisenhower had this to say about the military-industrial complex. He warned us of this, but it seems as if nobody heeded his word. And I quote, "In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals so that security and liberty may prosper together." First of all, that's beautiful. But secondly, everything he said was right. Everything he said was right. Everything. Regarding this. Okay? Guys, war is incredibly profitable to a certain group of people. These contractors, the military-industrial complex, when they make these weapons and they sell them off, these people in corporate media, they love to say they love the troops, they support the troops. That's a huge talking point with the right wing. Well, if you love the troops so much, then stop sending them to fight and die in wars in the middle of the world, in the Middle East. And stop doing that. If you truly care about the troops, if you truly care about the families of the troops, stop sending the children of parents to go get killed in the war. Stop it. And people need to wise up on this, and they really need to recognize and understand what the U.S. is doing in their name in other places of the world. Because this isn't something that's subjected to like a first grader way of thinking, like, oh, well, we're the good guys and we're going over here to Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever it may be to beat down the bad guy terrorists, and that's how liberty prevails. No, that's not really what's happening. We're after oil, we're after mineral wealth, whatever the case may be. These attacks and occupations of these different countries, they aren't done in good faith. And the sanctionings and all that, it's not done in good faith, okay? So here we go, another stark example of rank corruption from the Biden administration, from the military-industrial complex. And hopefully people open their eyes and see this for what it really is. I can't remember what news channel it was, but I think it was No. Rand Paul was talking to Wolf Blitzer, I believe. And, Rand Paul is a libertarian. He wants to end the wars, he says. And Wolf Blitzer said, well, what about the jobs of the defense contractor? What about the jobs? And Rand Paul was stunned by this. So they care more about the jobs than the lives of the soldiers that they claim to hold high and dear. When Lloyd Austin was selected, I knew something like this was going to happen, and it's rank corruption, and hopefully more people see this.